"Don't cry, sir. My mom can help you," said the little boy to the Millionaire CEO sitting under the Christmas tree. Before we begin the story, leave in the comments which city you're watching from. And at the end, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story, everyone. "Don't cry, sir. My mom can help you." Samuel Wright looked up and found a pair of enormous brown eyes belonging to a little boy who couldn't have been more than 9 years old. The boy wore a crooked Santa hat, held a half-eaten lollipop, and stared at him with the casualness of someone who just commented on the weather. Samuel blinked. Once, twice. He was sitting on the floor of a shopping center at 9 o'clock on a Christmas Eve night with a $3,000 suit all wrinkled, a $50,000 ring box in his pocket, and apparently tears on his face. How exactly had he ended up here? Ah, yes. Catherine. 7 hours earlier, Samuel Wright was the most confident man in Manhattan. At 35 years old, he ran Wright & Associates, one of the largest real estate development companies on the East Coast. His apartment occupied the top floor of a building he himself had built. His car was an imported machine that turned heads everywhere it went. And that night, he was going to propose to the perfect woman. Catherine Sloan was the kind of woman who made sense on paper, a lawyer, elegant, from a traditional family. The kind of person who knew which fork to use at formal dinners and would never ever use the word cool to describe something. Samuel had planned everything. A reservation at the most exclusive restaurant in the city for 8 o'clock, $2,000 champagne, a ring with a diamond so big it probably had its own zip code. But Samuel Wright was, above all, a man of calculated surprises. A canceled meeting had freed up his entire afternoon. Why wait until dinner when he could surprise her at home hours earlier and turn the afternoon into something special? He thought he was a genius. Spoiler, he was not. Catherine's apartment was on the Upper East Side, and Samuel had the key. It was 2 in the afternoon when he walked in quietly, holding a bouquet of roses and the velvet box in his pocket. He imagined the perfect scene. She would be working from home, he would appear with flowers and the ring, she would cry tears of joy, and dinner would become a celebration. The plan was foolproof, until he heard the sounds coming from the bedroom. Samuel frowned, a laugh, then another, a male voice, and then the bouquet of roses slipped from his hand. His legs moved on their own. He didn't want to see. He needed to see. He didn't want to confirm. He needed to confirm. The bedroom door was slightly open, and there was Catherine Sloan, the woman he was going to spend the rest of his life with, on another man's lap. Literally, on his lap. On the bed Samuel had bought. On the sheet Samuel had chosen. In the apartment Samuel paid for. The world stopped. Or maybe just his heart. Catherine turned her head and froze. Her eyes widened. Her mouth opened. No sound came out. The man, blonde, tanned, with the face of someone who had never worked a day in his life, took a few more seconds to notice. When he saw Samuel standing at the door, he tried to cover himself with the sheet as if that would help anything. "Samuel," Catherine finally found her voice, "it's not what you're thinking." Samuel almost laughed. Almost. Because of all the pathetic phrases that exist in the world, that one was the champion. It's not what you're thinking. As if there were some alternative interpretation for that scene. As if he could think, oh, of course, they were just checking the mattress firmness together. "Samuel, please let me explain." She got up, wrapped in the sheet, stumbling toward him. The man in the back was desperately trying to find his pants. Samuel said nothing. He just reached into his pocket, pulled out the velvet box, and let it drop to the floor. The sound was small, the meaning immense. 3 years, he said. His voice came out flat. Dead. 3 years and you couldn't even be discreet. "Samuel, this doesn't mean anything. He doesn't mean anything." "I know." He looked her in the eyes. "I didn't mean anything either, did I?" Catherine opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing. Samuel looked one last time at the scene, at the woman he thought he knew, at the ring on the floor worth a small fortune, at the 3 years of his life that had just turned to dust. And he left, without shouting, without crying, without looking back. Outside the building, the freezing December air hit his face like a slap. The afternoon sun seemed like a bad joke, shining cheerfully while his world crumbled. Samuel took a deep breath, once, twice, 3 times, and then he got in the car and drove. No destination, no plan, nothing. 7 hours later, Samuel didn't even know where he was anymore. The sun had gone away. The sky was dark, and the car had stopped somewhere in New Jersey, in front of a shopping center glowing with Christmas lights. The parking lot was packed with happy families carrying bags and hyperactive children. Samuel didn't know why he had stopped there. Didn't know why he'd gotten out of the car. Didn't know why his legs had carried him inside the mall, past decorated stores and employees dressed as elves. Until he saw the tree. It was gigantic. At least 30 feet tall, covered in golden lights and red ornaments. A huge star shone at the top, and all around, children ran while parents took photos. Samuel stopped. His mother loved Christmas. She had passed away when he was 17, and since then December was just a month on the calendar. Another fiscal quarter. Another corporate holiday season. But there, in front of that ridiculously large tree, Samuel remembered. He remembered Christmas mornings with hot chocolate, stockings hung by the fireplace, her laughter as she pretended to be surprised by gifts she herself had picked out. And he remembered Catherine. The ring, the bedroom, the sheet, the pathetic phrase, all at the same time. His legs gave out, literally. Samuel Wright, CEO of a billion-dollar company, sat on the floor of a shopping center in New Jersey, leaning against the fence around the Christmas tree and couldn't get up. People walked past him. Some looked at him strangely. Others pretended not to see. A security guard seemed to consider approaching but gave up when his phone rang. And Samuel stayed there, invisible, broken, alone, until a little boy with a crooked hat and a lollipop in his hand sat down beside him, swinging his legs as if this were perfectly normal. "You're sad," the boy said. It wasn't a question. Samuel didn't respond. "My mom says when we're sad, we need help, and that asking for help isn't something to be ashamed of." The boy tilted his head, studying Samuel as if he were a particularly interesting puzzle. "You look very sad. Like, really sad. The saddest I've ever seen. And I've seen my uncle when his team lost the championship." Despite everything, Samuel felt the corner of his mouth twitch. "I'm serious," the boy continued, completely unaware of the absurdity of the situation. "He cried for 3 days. 3. My aunt almost called a doctor. She thought he'd gone crazy. But it was just the football game." "That's quite a lot," Samuel managed to say. "Right? Adults are weird." The boy shrugged, biting his lollipop. "Like, the other day my mom cried because the coffee ran out. Coffee. She said it was the last straw, whatever that means. I think she was just thirsty." Samuel made a sound. Something between a sigh and a laugh. "But it's okay," Oliver continued, now smiling. "Don't cry, sir. My mom can help you. She helps everyone. She's like a superhero, just without a cape, because a cape would get caught in her radio, and it would also be weird. Imagine a superhero with a name badge." Samuel looked at the boy. Really looked. "What's your name?" "Oliver. Oliver Bennett." He extended his sticky lollipop hand. "And you?" Samuel hesitated. Then, not knowing exactly why, he shook that sticky little hand. "Samuel." Oliver smiled. A huge, genuine smile, the kind Samuel hadn't seen in years. The kind that didn't want anything in return. "Cool, Samuel. Now wait here while I go get my mom. She'll fix it. She always fixes everything." And before Samuel could protest, the boy ran off, hat bouncing, shouting, "Mom! I found a sad man by the tree in the middle of the crowded mall." A lady passing by looked at Samuel with pity. A teenager pulled out his phone as if to film. A mall elf stopped handing out flyers to watch the scene. Samuel closed his eyes and leaned his head against the tree fence. His life had officially spiraled out of control, and for some inexplicable reason, he stayed waiting. Lauren Bennett's radio wouldn't stop crackling. And on that Christmas Eve, that meant the universe had decided once again to test the limits of her sanity. Lauren, Santa Claus, is having an existential crisis in the employee bathroom. She pressed the radio button without slowing her pace. Define existential crisis. He's crying and asking if life has meaning. Lauren took a deep breath. It was 9:12 at night, 48 minutes until the mall closed. 80 children were still waiting in line to take a photo with Santa, and the man in red was questioning existence. "Wonderful. Just wonderful. Tell him to drink some water and take deep breaths. I'm on my way." He also said he doesn't believe in the magic of Christmas anymore. Kevin, he's a hired actor. He doesn't need to believe. He needs to sit in the chair and go ho 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 for another 45 minutes. Is that too much to ask? Silence on the radio. "Kevin?" He just said he's leaving. Lauren stopped in the middle of the hallway. A mother with a stroller almost bumped into her. A teenager dressed as an elf was looking at her with desperation from across the hall. And somewhere in that mall, 80 children were about to discover that Santa had abandoned his post. Christmas Eve. Of course. Why would it be easy? Hold him. Even if you have to bribe him, chocolate, coffee, money, whatever. I'll be there in 3 minutes." She started walking again, practically running, when she heard something that made her heart stop. "Mom! Mom! I found a sad man by the tree!" Oliver's voice echoed through the mall like a fire alarm. Lauren spun around so fast she almost twisted her ankle. Her 9-year-old son came running toward her, crooked Santa hat, lollipop in hand, smile of someone who just found treasure. "Oliver Bennett." Her voice came out controlled, but inside, her heart was pounding. "What did I tell you about talking to strangers? That I'm not supposed to." He stopped in front of her, breathless. "But Mom," he was crying. "And you said when someone cries, we help." Lauren closed her eyes for half a second. She had said that. Of course she had said that. Because she was the kind of mom who taught her son to have empathy, and now that empathy was creating impossible situations in crowded malls. "Where is this man?" "By the big tree. Come on, come on." Oliver grabbed her hand and started pulling. Lauren let herself be led, the radio crackling on her belt, the list of problems growing every second. Santa in crisis, 80 children in line, son talking to strangers, and now, apparently, a man crying by the Christmas tree. Just another normal day in the life of Lauren Bennett. She saw him before she got close. Dark suit, impeccable Italian leather shoes, brown hair messy as if he'd run his hands through it about 50 times. And his eyes were fixed on nothing, as if he were present in body but absent in everything else. Lauren knew that look. She saw it in the mirror every day. "That's him, Mom." Oliver pointed without any subtlety. "The sad man." The man lifted his head. His eyes met hers. And for a moment, no one said anything. Lauren approached slowly, like someone approaching a wounded animal. "Hi." She stopped about 3 feet away. "Sorry about my son. He has the social filter of a door." "Hey," Oliver protested. "It's true, and you know it." The man Samuel, she would find out later, made a sound, something between a sigh and a laugh. He was kind. His voice came out hoarse, as if it hadn't been used in hours. "He said you could help me." Lauren shot Oliver a look, and he smiled innocently. "I said she was a superhero," the boy explained, "just without a cape. Because a cape would get caught in her radio," Lauren completed, automatically. "Exactly." Samuel looked from one to the other, clearly trying to process that dynamic. "Do you always do this? Finish each other's sentences?" "Only when he gets me into strange situations." Lauren crossed her arms, but there was no harshness in the gesture, which happens with alarming frequency. "Once a week," Oliver confirmed, proud. "At least." The radio on her belt crackled again. "Lauren, Santa came out of the bathroom." She pressed the button. "Great, send him to the chair." He didn't go to the chair. He went to the parking lot. Lauren closed her eyes, counted to 3, opened her eyes. "He what?" "He left, said he can't pretend to be happy anymore, and that he's going to become a yoga instructor in Arizona." Oliver's eyes widened. "Santa is going to become a yoga instructor? He's not the real Santa, son." "I know, Mom. I'm 9, not 5. He rolled his eyes with the drama of a teenager. "But still, yoga?" Lauren ignored her son and went back to the radio. "Kevin, we have 80 children in line. What do I do with 80 children and no Santa?" I don't know, Lauren. I handle the sound system. This is way above my pay grade." "Everything is above your pay grade, Kevin. Everything." She released the radio button and stared at the mall ceiling, as if the decorative lights would offer some divine answer. They didn't. Samuel watched the scene in silence, something changing in his face, the apathy giving way to reluctant curiosity. "Problems?" he asked. Lauren let out a humorless laugh. "Santa quit his job to find inner peace in Arizona. I have 80 children waiting and 0 solutions. So yes, problems." 80 children is quite a lot. It's a miniature crowd with Christmas expectations. It's basically a collective crying disaster waiting to happen. Oliver tugged at his mom's sleeve. "Mom, what if the sad man became Santa?" Lauren looked at her son, then at Samuel, then at her son again. "Oliver, he's wearing a suit." "We have the costume, Mom, and the beard, and he's big." Oliver studied Samuel seriously. "He looks like Santa. If you squint." Samuel raised his eyebrows. "I look like Santa?" "If you squint?" Oliver repeated. "Like a lot." Lauren shook her head. "Son, I can't ask a stranger who is clearly going through the worst day of his life to put on a Santa costume." "Why not?" "Because that's not how the world works." "But Mom, you said when we need help we ask for it, and you need help." Oliver looked at Samuel. "And he needs a distraction. Everybody wins." Lauren opened her mouth to argue, closed it. The kid had a point, an absurd point, but still a point. She looked at Samuel. He was sitting on the floor of a mall in a wrinkled suit on Christmas Eve. Clearly something terrible had happened. Clearly he didn't want to be there. And clearly she was going crazy for even considering this. "Look," she said, her voice softer now. "I know we just met, and I know you're going through something. You don't have to tell me what. But, Lauren took a deep breath. The line of children, the crackling radio, time running out. "But I'm desperate, and you're here. And my son apparently thinks you look like Santa. So," she extended her hand to him. "Want to save Christmas for 80 children?" Samuel looked at the extended hand. Then at Oliver, who was giving 2 thumbs up. Then at Lauren, who had in her eyes a mixture of hope and desperation that he knew well. 24 hours ago, he was planning a marriage proposal. 12 hours ago, he discovered that the woman he loved was in another man's arms. And now, a stranger with a crackling radio was asking him to put on a Santa costume. His life had officially lost all meaning. But maybe that was exactly why he should accept. Samuel grabbed her hand and stood up. "Do you have the beard?" Lauren's smile was instant. "I have everything. Come with me." Oliver jumped with joy. "I told you my mom would fix it." And as the 3 of them walked toward the back of the mall, Samuel noticed something strange. For the first time in 7 hours, he wasn't thinking about Catherine. But before he could process that, Lauren looked at him over her shoulder and said the words that would change everything. "I hope you're good at improvising. Because the last kid in line asked for a real hippopotamus." Samuel swallowed hard. What exactly had he gotten himself into? The mall employee's dressing room smelled of reheated coffee and desperation. Samuel looked around and wondered at what exact moment his life had gone so wrong. Ah, yes. At 2 in the afternoon. In Catherine's bedroom. "Take off the jacket." Lauren's voice cut through his thoughts. She had her back to him, rummaging through a metal locker as if she were searching for the Holy Grail. "Excuse me? The jacket, take it off." She didn't even turn around. "The Santa suit won't fit over 3 layers of imported fabric." Samuel looked at his own suit. The suit he had put on that morning thinking he would end the day as a fiancé. The suit that was now wrinkled, sweaty, and about to be replaced by red velvet. The irony was almost poetic. He took off the jacket. Shirt too. "What?" Lauren finally turned around, holding what appeared to be a giant red pillow. "The belly. You need a belly. Santa doesn't have defined abs." "How do you know I have defined abs?" She looked him up and down with the expression of someone evaluating a piece of furniture. "You have the face of someone who goes to the gym at 5 in the morning and drinks protein shakes for breakfast." Oliver, sitting on a bench in the corner, burst out laughing. "Did she get it right?" Samuel opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. 5:30, and it's not a shake, it's a smoothie." Lauren rolled her eyes. "Same thing." "It's not the same thing. A smoothie has fruit. A shake is just—" "Take off the shirt, Santa," Samuel obeyed. Not because she told him to, but because arguing seemed to require energy he simply didn't have anymore. When he was down to just his undershirt, Lauren approached with the pillow belly and an expression that could only be described as professional in crisis mode. "Raise your arms." He raised them. She began strapping the pillow around his waist, pulling Velcro strips with impressive efficiency. "Tighter," she muttered to herself. "It needs to look natural." "Natural?" Samuel looked down. "I look like I swallowed a watermelon." "A Christmas watermelon," Oliver corrected helpfully. "That's not a compliment." "Yes, it is. Watermelons are cool." Lauren took a step back, analyzing her work. "Still need the jacket, and the pants, and the beard, and the hat, and the belt." "Is that all?" "And the Christmas spirit, but we'll improvise that." Samuel let out a sigh that came from deep in his soul. "I don't have Christmas spirit." "Nobody does at 9 at night on Christmas Eve after working 12 hours. Lauren tossed the red pants to him. "We fake it. That's what adults do." There was something in that phrase. Something that made Samuel stop. Fake it. That's what Catherine had been doing for 3 years. Pretending she loved him. Pretending she cared. Pretending he was more than a credit card with legs. And now he was going to pretend to be Santa. The difference, he realized with a pang in his chest, was that at least here the lie had a good purpose. "Hey." Lauren's voice was softer now. He looked up and met her eyes. "You don't have to do this," she said. "Seriously, it was Oliver's crazy idea and I shouldn't have. I want to do it." The words came out before he could think, and the strangest thing was that they were true. Lauren tilted her head, studying him. "Why?" Samuel thought about the question, thought about Catherine, About the mother who was no longer there, about the ring abandoned on the floor, about the perfectly planned life that had crumbled in a matter of seconds. Because I have nothing left to lose. The silence that followed was heavy. Oliver stopped swinging his legs. Lauren blinked, and then, to everyone's surprise, she smiled. A small smile, but genuine. That's the best reason I have ever heard for putting on a Santa suit. 10 minutes later, Samuel Wright, CEO of a billion-dollar company, was unrecognizable. The red jacket was tight in the shoulders and loose at the waist, even with the pillow. The pants made a strange noise when he walked. The golden plastic belt looked like it had been bought at a cheap costume store. And the beard? The beard was a masterpiece of disaster. It's crooked, Oliver observed. I know it's crooked. Lauren was pulling the elastic, trying to adjust it. But it's the only one we have, so it'll have to work. Samuel looked at himself in the cracked mirror of the dressing room. The man staring back was not a CEO, was not the right heir, was not anyone he recognized. He was just a desperate guy in a ridiculous costume, and for some reason, that was liberating. Okay, Lauren said, taking a step back. The rules. Rules? You didn't think you were going to go out there doing ho-ho-ho without instructions, did you? Samuel had thought exactly that. Rule number 1, never promise anything. Kid asks for a dog, you say, I'll see what I can do. Kid asks for a baby brother, you say, talk to your parents. Kid asks for a hippopotamus. I say the zoo won't allow it? Lauren pointed at him. Exactly. You learn fast. I have an MBA. And that's going to be completely useless for the next 40 minutes. Oliver laughed again. Samuel was starting to like the sound of that laugh. Rule number 2. Lauren continued, now pacing back and forth like a general before battle. Some kids are going to cry. It's not your fault. Some kids cry around beards. It's a fact of life. They're afraid of beards. They're afraid of strange men in red who promise to enter their house through the chimney. If you stop to think about it, it's pretty scary. Samuel hadn't stopped to think about it. Now he couldn't stop thinking about it. Rule number 3, the ho-ho-ho comes from the diaphragm, not the throat. From the throat it sounds like you're choking. Ho-ho-ho, Samuel tried. Oliver made a face. It sounded like you were choking. From the diaphragm, Lauren repeated. Take a deep breath, fill up the fake belly, and let it out. Samuel took a deep breath, filled up the fake belly, and let it out. Ho-ho-ho, the sound echoed through the dressing room. Lauren's eyes widened. Oliver clapped. That's it, she said, genuinely impressed. See, you're a natural Santa. I'm a CEO having a nervous breakdown. Same energy. For the first time that endless day, Samuel laughed, a real laugh. Short, rough, almost surprised at itself. Lauren stopped. Oliver stopped. They both looked at him as if he had just done a magic trick. What? Samuel asked. Nothing. Lauren looked away, but there was a smile at the corners of her mouth. Just, you should laugh more. You look less like a CEO. I don't look like a CEO. You look like someone who fires people before breakfast. I've never fired anyone before breakfast. After breakfast, then. Only once, and he deserved it. Oliver shook his head. Adults are really strange. Lauren's radio crackled. Lauren, the kids are getting impatient. One of them already asked if Santa died. Lauren pressed the button. Tell them he was feeding the reindeer. We're coming out in 1 minute. She looked at Samuel. He looked at her. The beard was still crooked. The pillow had slipped a little to the left, and the hat was slightly crumpled. But his eyes were different, less empty, less lost. Ready? She asked. Samuel adjusted the beard, straightened the hat, put his hands on his padded waist. No, but let's go anyway. Lauren smiled. That's the only possible attitude on Christmas Eve. She opened the dressing room door. The sound of the mall flooded in. Christmas music, children screaming, exhausted parents. Samuel took a deep breath. 80 children were waiting for him. 80 opportunities to mess everything up. 80 chances to fail spectacularly. But also, 80 chances to make someone smile. And considering how the day had been so far, that was already more than he expected. Oh, one last thing, Lauren said, holding the door. What? The hippopotamus kid? Her name is Madison, and she bites. Samuel swallowed hard. She what? But Lauren was already walking, Oliver bouncing along beside her, and Samuel had no choice but to follow. Toward the chaos, toward the children, toward the strangest Christmas of his life. And toward something he couldn't yet name, but that had begun the moment a little boy with a crooked hat sat down beside him and said his mom could help. The first child pulled Samuel's beard so hard he thought he might lose his face along with it. It's real. the boy shouted, hanging from the elastic like a rock climber in training. Son, let go of Santa's beard. The mother looked more tired than embarrassed. Let go. Let go. Samuel held the beard in place while Lauren appeared out of nowhere and detached the child with the precision of a paramedic. The beard is magic, she told the boy, smiling as if she hadn't just saved Samuel from plastic surgery. If you pull too hard, the magic goes away. The boy's eyes widened. Goes away where? To the North Pole. And then Santa goes bald. The boy looked at Samuel with genuine horror and left holding his mother tightly, as if he had just escaped from a disaster. Samuel adjusted the beard and looked at Lauren. Does this happen often? Only with kids who eat too much sugar, so yes, always. The line seemed endless. Samuel was sitting in a giant red velvet chair, under lights that were too hot, surrounded by decorations that were too bright, listening to Christmas music that was too loud. And the children kept coming, one after another. Some shy, some excited, some in a state of absolute panic. Santa, I want a real dinosaur. Ho ho ho, I'll see what I can do. Santa, I want my parents to stop fighting. Samuel choked. Lauren, who was organizing the line nearby, shot him a warning look. Ho ho ho. Santa will send positive thoughts to your house. The child seemed satisfied. Samuel needed a moment to catch his breath. Santa, why are you sweating so much? Because the North Pole is very cold and here it's very hot. Temperature shock. What's temperature shock? It's when you sweat a lot. Next. Lauren appeared beside him during a brief pause. You're doing well, Mr. MBA. I almost cried with the kid whose parents are fighting. Everyone almost cries with that one. It's part of the job. How do you handle this? Lauren shrugged. Coffee. Lots of coffee. And the certainty that at 10 o'clock this ends. Samuel looked at the clock on the wall. 9:23. 37 minutes. He could survive 37 minutes. He could not survive 37 minutes. At 9:31, a little girl with pigtails threw up on his shoes. Oh no. The mother rushed over with tissues. She ate too much cotton candy, I warned her, but she doesn't listen, never listens. I'm so sorry, Santa. Samuel looked at his shoes. The Italian leather shoes he had put on that morning, thinking they were going to a 5-star restaurant. Now they were covered in processed cotton candy. It's okay, he said, and for the first time, he almost believed it. Accidents happen. Ho ho ho. Lauren appeared with a roll of paper towels and an expression that was half pity, half amusement. Welcome to real Christmas. My shoes cost. Don't finish that sentence. She crouched down to clean. You'll ruin the magic. Oliver appeared out of nowhere, holding a cookie. Mom, Santa looks like he wants to cry. Santa is having a personal growth experience, Lauren replied without looking up. Give him the cookie. Oliver extended the cookie. Samuel accepted. Thanks. It's gingerbread. My mom made it. Samuel took a bite. The cookie was surprisingly good. Your mom bakes well. Only cookies. She burns everything else. Oliver. It's true, Mom. Last week you set a pancake on fire. It was low heat. Almost low heat. The alarm overreacted. Samuel almost choked on the cookie from laughing so hard. At 9:42, Madison arrived. Samuel recognized her immediately because Lauren tensed up beside him and muttered, "Here she comes," as if announcing a hurricane. Madison was 6 years old, had red hair, freckles, and a look that clearly said she knew she was the most dangerous person in that line. Santa. She stopped in front of him with her arms crossed. Last year I asked for a pony and you didn't bring it. Samuel looked at Lauren. Lauren made a gesture that clearly meant you're on your own. Ho ho ho, ponies are complicated to transport in the sleigh. You have reindeer. Reindeer are bigger than ponies. Yes, but reindeer fly and ponies don't. Then teach the pony to fly. Samuel opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Ponies can't learn to fly. You've never tried. Madison tilted her head. You're a very limited Santa. Out of the corner of his eye, Samuel saw Oliver hiding his laughter behind his hands. Lauren had turned her back, her shoulders shaking. This year I want a hippopotamus, Madison continued. And before you say you can't, I did research. Baby hippos only weigh about 90 pounds. That's less than my grandma. I don't think size is the problem. What's the problem then? Hippos are wild. They bite. Madison smiled. A smile that showed she was missing a front tooth. So do I. Samuel believed her. How about a stuffed hippopotamus? He tried. Soft, cuddly, doesn't bite back. Stuffed hippos are for babies. They're for smart people who want to keep all their fingers. Madison considered this for a moment. How many fingers does a hippo eat per day? A lot. How many is a lot? All the ones it can get. Another moment of consideration. Fine, she said finally. Stuffed, but it has to be big. Bigger than me. I'll see what I can do. You better. I know where you live. The North Pole? Yeah, and I know how to swim. Madison got down from his lap and walked away as if she had just closed a billion-dollar deal. Samuel sat there watching, genuinely impressed. Lauren approached, still laughing. You survived, Madison. That's basically a Medal of Honor. She's terrifying. She's going to be president one day, or own a corporation, or both, or lead a group of villains. Also a possibility. At 9:58, the last child in line approached. He was a small boy, couldn't have been more than 5 years old. He was alone, looking at Samuel with huge, slightly scared eyes. Lauren frowned and looked around, searching for the parents. Hi, Samuel said, his voice softer. What's your name? Tommy. Hi, Tommy. Did you come alone? The boy shook his head. My mom's over there. He pointed to an exhausted woman sitting on a bench, holding 2 huge bags and a sleeping baby. She said I could come quick. Samuel waved at the mother, who waved back with a tired smile. And what do you want for Christmas, Tommy? The boy was silent for a moment, then very quietly he said, I want my mom not to be so tired. Samuel felt something tighten in his chest. Ho ho, ho. His voice faltered a little. That's a very beautiful wish, Tommy. She works a lot, and sometimes she cries when she thinks I'm sleeping. Samuel looked at Lauren. She had a hand over her mouth, her eyes glistening. You know what I think, Tommy? Samuel leaned in closer. I think you're already the best gift your mom could ever have. But I'm not a gift. I'm a person. The best things are people. People who care. People who notice when someone is tired. Samuel put his hand on the boy's shoulder. You're special, Tommy, and your mom is very lucky. The boy smiled. A small smile, but real. Thanks, Santa? Thank you, Tommy. Merry Christmas. The boy got down and ran to his mother, who hugged him tight. Samuel watched them leave, and something inside him changed. Something he couldn't explain. Lauren approached slowly. Hey. Her voice was soft. Are you okay? Samuel didn't answer immediately. He was looking at the lights on the tree, at the bright decorations, at the scraps of wrapping paper on the floor. Nobody's ever asked me for anything like that, he said finally. Like what? Something real, something that wasn't about money or things. He looked at her. In my life, everyone always wants something, a contract, an investment, a promotion. But here the kids want dinosaurs and hippos. Samuel laughed, but there was something wet in his eyes. Here they want their mom not to be tired. Here they care about real things. Lauren was silent for a moment. Welcome to the real world, Mr. CEO. But this time, there was no sarcasm in her voice, just kindness. Oliver appeared, yawning. Mom, is it over? It's over, son. Lauren looked at her watch. 10:03, officially the most chaotic Christmas in this mall's history. And the best, Oliver said, smiling at Samuel, because Santa didn't give up. Samuel looked at the boy, at his mother, at the empty mall being closed around them. 24 hours ago, he thought he knew what he wanted from life. Now, covered in sweat, with ruined shoes and a crooked beard, he wasn't sure of anything anymore. Except for one thing. Is there anywhere open to get a coffee? He asked. Lauren smiled. I know a place. And as the three of them walked together through the empty mall, Samuel realized that, for the first time in a long time, he didn't want to be anywhere else. The place, Lauren knew, was a 24-hour diner with cracked vinyl seats, a plastic Christmas tree in the corner, and a waitress who seemed to have seen too much in life to be impressed by anything. Samuel was still dressed as Santa. What do you want? The waitress was chewing gum and holding a notepad without looking at them. 3 hot chocolates, Lauren said, and a slice of apple pie for my son. With whipped cream, Oliver added. With whipped cream, Lauren confirmed. The waitress finally looked up. Her eyes stopped on Samuel, on the red outfit, on the crooked beard hanging around his neck, on the belly pillow that had slipped to the side. Rough day, Santa? You have no idea. She shrugged. I've seen worse. Last week a guy came in here dressed as a giant banana crying because his girlfriend broke up with him. At least you have dignity. Samuel looked at himself. Crooked pillow, hanging beard, ruined shoes. Dignity is a strong word. The waitress almost smiled. 3 hot chocolates. Be right back. They settled into a booth in the back. Oliver on his mother's side, Samuel facing the two of them. You can take off the beard, you know, Lauren said. Your shift is over. Oh. Samuel pulled the elastic and freed his face. I forgot I was still wearing it. You forgot you had a giant white beard on your face? It's been a long day. Lauren laughed, a short, tired laugh, but genuine. It has. Oliver was already almost asleep, his head resting on his mother's shoulder. The pie arrived, and he perked up for exactly 3 bites before dozing off again. Samuel observed the scene. The mother adjusting her son, the boy trusting her completely. The naturalness of it all. Something tightened in his chest. "You're a good mother," he said without thinking. Lauren looked up, surprised. "I'm an exhausted mother who feeds her son apple pie at 10 at night. You were working, solving crises, saving Christmas for 80 children. With the help of a stranger in a suit I found on the floor of the mall." Still, Lauren was silent for a moment. Then she picked up her mug of hot chocolate and blew on it. "You were good today, too, with the kids. I was attacked by a child who wanted a hippopotamus, and you survived. That counts." Samuel smiled. A small smile, but real. "Madison is going to give me nightmares. Madison gives everyone nightmares. Next year she'll probably ask for a shark." "A shark?" "She's ambitious, likes to escalate challenges." They both laughed. The sound was strange in that empty diner, but it also felt right. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that happens when 2 tired people finally stop running. "So," Lauren said, spinning the mug between her hands, "are you going to tell me why you were crying on the floor of the mall, or am I going to have to guess?" Samuel choked on his chocolate. "Straight to the point. I have a 9-year-old son. I don't have time to beat around the bush." He put the mug on the table, looked at her, at the brown eyes that didn't look away, that didn't ask for anything, that just waited. "I was going to propose to my girlfriend today." Lauren didn't react, just waited. "I arrived at her apartment in the afternoon, to surprise her." He let out a bitter laugh. "I was the one who got the surprise. She was, with another guy. In the apartment I paid for, in the bed I bought." Lauren whistled softly. "Wow. Yeah, and what did you do?" "I left the ring on the floor and walked out. Without yelling, without throwing things, without anything." Lauren tilted her head, studying him. "That's either very mature or very repressed. I can't tell which. Probably both." She laughed. So did he. "So you drove all the way to New Jersey to cry under a Christmas tree?" "I didn't plan it. It just happened. The mall was a place I used to go with my mom when I was a kid. He stopped. Before she passed." Lauren's face softened. "How long?" 18 years. I was 17. "I'm sorry. Thank you." He spun the mug. Christmas was her favorite time. After she was gone, it became just another day, just another obligation, just another corporate holiday season. Until today? Samuel looked at Oliver sleeping, at Lauren holding the mug, at the plastic tree in the corner. Today was different. Lauren was silent for a long moment. Then she sighed. Oliver's dad left when he was 2. Samuel looked up. He woke up one day, said he wasn't ready to be a father, and disappeared. No warning, no explanation, just gone. He doesn't keep in touch. He sent a birthday card once with the wrong name. He wrote Oscar instead of Oliver. Samuel didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Oscar? Oscar. Lauren shook her head. He couldn't even remember his own son's name. "What did you do with the card?" "Used it to light the grill." Samuel laughed, a surprised, genuine laugh. "Seriously? Best ribs I ever made. Oliver doesn't even know. He thinks his dad just never tried to contact him." She shrugged. "Maybe that's better. Having no hope is easier than having hope and being disappointed." Samuel understood that more than he wanted to admit. "You raised him alone all this time?" "Me and my mother. She helps when she can. But yes, basically alone. Work, school, homework, doctor, dentist, everything. And you still save Christmas for 80 children." "And I still save Christmas for 80 children." She smiled, but there was tiredness there. "Someone's got to do it, right? It doesn't always have to be you." Lauren looked at him with a strange expression. "That's the first time anyone's ever said that to me." "It's true. I know. It's just—" She paused. "No one's ever offered to help before. Everyone just expects me to handle it. I'm offering. You've known me for 3 hours. And in those 3 hours, you made me put on a Santa suit, face a child who wanted a hippopotamus, and almost lose my shoes to a girl who ate too much cotton candy." Lauren laughed. "Technically, you did lose the shoes. Technically, yes." He smiled. "What I'm trying to say is, you helped me today, without knowing me, without asking for anything. Maybe I can return the favor." Her eyes glistened, but she didn't respond. Oliver stirred on the seat, yawning. "Mom? Are we still at the diner?" "Still here, son. You can sleep a little more." "Is Santa still here?" Samuel smiled. "Still here." Oliver opened one eye, then the other. He looked at Samuel with that impossible sincerity of children. Are you going to spend Christmas alone? The question caught Samuel off guard. I don't know, probably. Oliver frowned, then looked at his mother. Mom, can he spend Christmas with us? Lauren's eyes widened. Oliver. He doesn't have anyone, Mom. You saw? He was crying by the tree. Oliver sat up straight, now fully awake. Grandma always says Christmas is for not leaving anyone alone, and he saved Christmas for the kids. He deserves not to be alone too. Lauren looked at her son, then at Samuel, then at her son again. Samuel raised his hands. Look, I don't want to intrude. You have your family, traditions. Do you like turkey? Oliver interrupted. What? Turkey? Christmas turkey. Do you like it? Yes. And pumpkin pie? Yes. And Christmas music? Depends on the song. Oliver nodded, satisfied. He passes the test, Mom. Lauren was looking at Samuel with an expression he couldn't decipher. Amused? Embarrassed? Something more? Oliver, we can't just invite strangers to family Christmas. He's not a stranger, he's Samuel. He was Santa, and he made you laugh. Lauren opened her mouth, closed it. When did I laugh? Several times. I counted. 7 times. Oliver crossed his arms. You never laugh 7 times in a day, Mom. Never. The silence that followed was charged. Samuel felt he should say something, but didn't know what. Lauren looked at him, studied his face for a long moment. My mother is going to interrogate you, she said finally. Samuel blinked. Is that a yes? That's a warning. She's going to ask about your job, your income, your intentions, your zodiac sign, and probably your blood type. I'm positive. She's going to love that. It's the universal type. Lauren sighed, but there was a smile there. Fine. You can come. Oliver pumped his fist in the air. Yes. But, Lauren raised a finger, you bring the dessert. It's tradition. Whoever comes from outside brings the dessert. Done. And you can't show up dressed as Santa. Agreed. And if my mother asks how we met, the official story is that you're a coworker. Not I found you crying on the floor of the mall? Definitely not that. Samuel extended his hand across the table. Deal. Lauren shook his hand. The touch lasted a second longer than necessary. Deal, Mr. CEO. Oliver was looking from one to the other with a smile that knew more than it should. Mom? What? I like him. Lauren released Samuel's hand quickly, her cheeks slightly red. Go to sleep, Oliver. I'm just telling the truth. The waitress brought the check. Samuel grabbed it before Lauren could react. I'll pay. You don't have to. You gave me a Santa job and a Christmas invitation. The least I can do is pay for 3 hot chocolates. Lauren rolled her eyes but didn't argue. When they left the diner, the cold December air hit them. Oliver huddled against his mother, half asleep on his feet. And now? Lauren asked, adjusting her son. Are you going back to Manhattan this late? Samuel looked at his watch. Almost 11 at night. 2 hours on the road. Going back to what? An empty apartment full of memories of a life that no longer existed? No, I'll find a hotel around here. Lauren frowned. A hotel? On Christmas Eve? Everything will be booked. I'll manage. Samuel, you're wearing a Santa suit, with ruined shoes, smelling like hot chocolate and desperation. Thanks for the summary. I'm just saying this might not be the best time to go looking for a hotel. Samuel smiled, a tired smile but genuine. Lauren, relax. I really am a CEO. She crossed her arms. You're still going with that story? It's not a story. It's the truth. He pulled his phone from his pocket, the phone that had been put away during his entire Santa shift. Wright and Associates, one of the largest development companies on the East Coast. You can look it up. Lauren grabbed her own phone. Typed. Waited. Her eyes widened. Samuel Wright, CEO. She looked at him. Looked at the phone. Looked at him again. That's you? That's me. You're, actually rich? I had a $50,000 ring in my pocket this afternoon. Lauren was silent for a long moment. And you agreed to wear a tight Santa suit and go ho 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 for 80 children? I did? Why? Samuel thought about the question, about the Christmas tree. The cold floor, the little boy with the crooked hat who sat down beside him. Because your son said you could help me, and he was right. The silence that followed was different from all the others that night. Oliver, half asleep, murmured, I told you he was nice, Mom. Lauren shook her head, but there was a smile there. A confused, surprised smile, but real. All right, Mr. Billionaire CEO, go find your hotel. I'm not a billionaire, just a millionaire. Oh, of course. Sorry, what a huge difference. Samuel laughed. Tomorrow I'll bring the dessert. What's the address? Lauren dictated the address. Samuel saved it on his phone. Noon? She asked. Noon. They stood looking at each other for a moment, the steam of their breath rising in the cold air, Christmas lights blinking somewhere behind them. Good night, Lauren. Good night, Samuel. She turned and started walking with Oliver leaning on her. "Hey," Samuel called. She stopped, looked over her shoulder. "Thank you for everything." Lauren smiled. "Thank you for not giving up." And as she walked away, Oliver waved sleepily over his shoulder, and Samuel stood in the diner parking lot, still dressed as Santa, with ruined shoes and a heart that was strangely lighter. He grabbed his phone and searched for the nearest hotel. 5 stars. Suite available. Reservation confirmed. Some things money could solve. But what had happened that night, that was priceless. And tomorrow would be Christmas. The first Christmas in 18 years that Samuel Wright was genuinely looking forward to. The Bennett house was on a tree-lined street of row houses, with Christmas lights hanging from porches and plastic snowmen in the yards. Samuel parked his car, an imported sedan that looked completely out of place there, and stared at the address on his phone. This was it. A 2-story house with exposed brick, a wreath on the door, and the unmistakable sound of chaos coming from inside. Samuel took a deep breath. He looked at the passenger seat, where a white cardboard box held the dessert he had bought at 7 in the morning at the only fancy bakery in New Jersey that was open on Christmas. $300 in French pastries. He didn't know if it was too much or too little. Didn't know the protocol. Didn't know anything about family Christmases, because the last 18 years had been corporate dinners and silent apartments. His phone vibrated. "You've been out there for 5 minutes. My mother is watching through the window." Samuel looked up. A curtain moved on the 2nd floor. "How do you know I've been here for 5 minutes?" "Oliver is on lookout on the porch. He has a stopwatch." Samuel laughed. He grabbed the box of pastries and got out of the car. The front door opened before he could ring the bell. "He's here." Oliver appeared like a hurricane of reindeer pajamas and messy hair. "Mom, Grandma, Uncle Derek, Uncle Brian, Santa's here." "Oliver, I asked you not to call him," but it was too late. Samuel was already being dragged inside by a small, determined hand. The interior of the house was exactly what Samuel expected and nothing like what he knew. Christmas decorations everywhere, some clearly handmade with flaking glitter and painted macaroni, the smell of turkey roasting, Christmas music playing somewhere. And people. Lots of people. "You must be the famous Samuel." A woman with gray hair and eyes identical to Lauren's appeared before him, drying her hands on an apron that said "Merry Christmas." Samuel extended his hand. "Pleased to meet you, Mrs. Margaret, but call me Maggie." "Everyone does." She ignored his hand and hugged him. "None of that Mrs. stuff. Makes me feel old." She stepped back and looked him up and down. "So you're the CEO my daughter found crying at the mall?" "Mom," Lauren's voice came from the kitchen. "What?" He knows he was crying. It's not a secret. Samuel smiled. "I really was crying. Your daughter saved me." Maggie narrowed her eyes. There was a sparkle there. At least he's honest." She pointed to the box in his hands. "What's that?" "Dessert. French pastries. From the bakery." "French pastries?" A huge man appeared out of nowhere, practically snatching the box from Samuel's hands. "Derek, come see this. The guy brought French pastries." Another man, equally large, appeared beside the first. "Real French pastries? Like from France?" "From the French bakery in Princeton," Samuel explained. The 2 men exchanged looks. "He brought pastries from Princeton." "Fancy pastries. To our house." Samuel didn't know if this was good or bad. "I'm Brian." The first man extended his hand. "Lauren's older brother." "And I'm Derek." The second shook Samuel's hand with enough force to break bones. "Middle brother, we need to talk later." "Talk about what?" "About your intentions." "Derek." Lauren appeared finally with a wooden spoon in her hand and an expression that promised consequences. "Let the man breathe. He just got here. I just want to know." "Later, much later, like never." Derek raised his hands in surrender, but winked at Samuel in a way that clearly said, "This conversation is happening." Samuel swallowed hard. The kitchen was a battlefield, pots everywhere, steam rising from 3 different stoves. Maggie commanding everything like a general, while Lauren tried to prevent something from burning, and a red-headed woman, who Samuel would discover was Karen, Brian's wife, chopped vegetables at impressive speed. "Can I help?" Samuel asked from the doorway. All 3 women stopped and looked at him. "Do you cook?" Maggie asked, suspicious. "Not very well, but I know how to wash dishes." Silence. "He knows how to wash dishes," Karen said to Lauren. "I heard." "Where did you find this man?" "On the floor of the mall." "And he washes dishes?" "Apparently." Samuel was already rolling up his shirt sleeves. "Point me to the sink." Lauren smiled. That smile he had seen the night before, the one that made something strange happen in his chest. Over in the corner. The big pots first. Samuel went. Over the next 2 hours, Samuel washed more dishes than in his entire adult life. He also peeled potatoes, badly, cut onions, cried more than when he discovered Catherine's betrayal, and was assigned to entertain the children when Lauren's nieces and nephews got too bored. The nieces and nephews were 4. Emma, 12 years old, who looked at him with the same skepticism as her grandmother. The twins Lucas and Leo, 7 years old, who seemed to have nuclear energy, and baby Sophia, 2 years old, who was more interested in eating the ornaments off the tree than in anything the adults were doing. "Are you Aunt Lauren's boyfriend?" Emma asked, direct. "I'm a friend. A friend who spends Christmas with her family? I didn't have anywhere else to go." Emma considered this. "That's kind of sad. It's quite sad, actually. But now you have us," she shrugged, "so it's not sad anymore, it's just weird." Samuel didn't know what to say. "Uncle Samuel." The twins appeared out of nowhere. "Come play lightsaber fight." "I'm not." But it was too late. A plastic saber was shoved into his hand, and before he could process it, Samuel Wright, CEO of a billion-dollar company, was having an epic lightsaber battle with 2 7-year-old boys in the Bennett living room. He lost, spectacularly. "You're really bad at this," Leo informed him. "I know, like really bad. Thanks for the feedback. Want to try again?" Samuel looked at the 2 eager little faces. Sure, he lost again, and once more. And at some point, while being defeated for the 5th consecutive time, Samuel realized he was laughing. Really laughing, the kind that makes your stomach hurt. Lauren appeared at the living room door, watching the scene. "You're losing to 7-year-olds. I'm being massacred, it's different." "It's the same thing." "No, massacre is more dramatic." She laughed. And Samuel thought he could spend the rest of his life making her laugh like that. Lunch was served at 2 in the afternoon. The dining room table wasn't big enough for everyone, so they set up an improvised extension with a plastic table from the garden. The chairs didn't match. The plates were from at least 3 different sets, and the tablecloth had a cranberry sauce stain from some past Christmas that never came out completely. It was perfect. "Before we eat, we have a tradition," Maggie announced. "Everyone says one thing they're grateful for this year, starting with the youngest." Baby Sophia, in her high chair, shouted something unintelligible and threw a pea on the floor. "Sophia is grateful for peas," Brian translated. Next. The twins were quick. "Video games. Dinosaurs." Emma was more elaborate. "I'm grateful for passing math this year, and for my new phone." Oliver thought for a moment. "I'm grateful for Samuel, because he was sad and now he's not anymore. And because he made my mom laugh 7 times yesterday." The entire table looked at Samuel. He felt his face get hot. 7 times? Derek asked. "I counted," Oliver confirmed. "Interesting. Very interesting," Brian added. Lauren was red as a tomato. "Next. Who's next?" "Next." The round continued. Karen was grateful for health, Brian for family, Derek for his new job, Maggie for having everyone together. Then it was Lauren's turn. "I'm grateful." She hesitated, looked at Oliver, at her mother, at her brothers, and briefly at Samuel. "I'm grateful for good surprises, for help when we don't expect it, and for people who stay when they could have left." The silence that followed was charged. "That was beautiful," Maggie said, suspiciously emotional. "Mom, don't cry." "I'm not crying, it's allergies." "To what?" "To feelings." The table laughed, and then everyone looked at Samuel. "Your turn," Oliver said. Samuel looked around, at this loud, chaotic, imperfect family, at the improvised table and the mismatched plates, at the impatient children and the adults who were already eyeing the French pastries. "I'm grateful." He took a deep breath. "For a boy in a crooked hat who sat beside me when I was at the worst moment of my life. For a mother who wasn't afraid to ask a stranger for help. And for a family that opened their door to someone who had nowhere to go on Christmas." Total silence. Baby Sophia threw another pea. "That was beautiful too," Maggie said, now clearly crying. "Mom." "It's allergies," I already said. After lunch came dessert. The French pastries were an absolute success. "This is the best thing I've ever eaten," Derek said, mouth full. "Better than Grandma's pie?" Leo asked. Deadly silence. "Equally good," Derek quickly corrected. "Good in different ways." "Right answer," Maggie said, but she was smiling. Samuel helped clean up everything afterward. Washed more dishes, dried plates, put things in the wrong places until Lauren gently redirected him. "You don't have to do all this," she said quietly, while they were putting away the leftovers. "I want to." "Why?" Samuel thought about the question. About his house in Manhattan, where employees did everything and he never touched a sponge. About corporate dinners where everything was perfect and nothing was real. Because it makes me feel like part of something. Lauren didn't respond, but her hand touched his briefly before picking up another container. The day went on. The adults had scattered around the living room in various stages of food coma. The children were watching a Christmas movie on the carpet. Oliver had fallen asleep on the couch, his head in Lauren's lap. Samuel was sitting in an armchair in the corner, watching everything. Not what you expected, huh? Maggie sat in the armchair next to him, holding a mug of tea. No, Samuel admitted. It's better. She studied him for a long moment. Lauren told me about you. About yesterday. What did she tell you? That you were lost. That you agreed to help without asking for anything in return. That you made Oliver laugh. Maggie took a sip of tea. She doesn't laugh much, you know. My daughter. She's been carrying the world on her shoulders since that useless man left. She's incredible. I know she is. I raised her. Maggie leaned closer. But she's also fragile, even if she doesn't seem like it. If you're going to hurt her, I won't. Everyone says that. I know, but I'm saying it for real. Maggie stared at him for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, I believe you. She stood up. For now. For now is fair. And Samuel? Yes? Welcome to the family, at least for Christmas. She left before he could respond. Samuel stayed there, in the armchair, looking at that living room full of sleeping people and children hypnotized by the movie. And for the first time in 18 years, Christmas didn't hurt. Quite the opposite. It healed. When it was finally time to leave, it was past 9 at night. Oliver woke up just to hug Samuel. You'll come back, right? I need to go to Manhattan tomorrow. I have work, meetings. Oliver's little face drooped. But you'll come back someday? Samuel looked at Lauren, not knowing what to answer. Actually, Lauren hesitated for a second, then continued. We have a New Year's Eve party here. Nothing fancy, just the family, food, fireworks in the backyard that Derek almost always sets something on fire with. Hey, that was only once, Derek protested from the couch. It was 3 times, Brian corrected. The fence recovered. Lauren ignored her brothers and looked at Samuel. If you want to come, we'd like that. We? Samuel asked, a smile forming. Lauren rolled her eyes. Fine, I would like it. Happy now? Oliver pumped his fist in the air. Yes, he's coming back. He hasn't answered yet, son. Samuel pretended to think for a moment, just to see Lauren's expression. Let me see. New Year's Eve alone in my apartment in Manhattan, or New Year's Eve with you watching Derek set the fence on fire? The fence has been fixed. I'll come, Samuel said, smiling. I'll definitely come. Oliver hugged his leg tightly. You're the best Santa in the world. Oliver, don't call him. It's okay, Samuel said, messing up the boy's hair. I like it. Samuel said goodbye to everyone. Shook hands, received hugs, survived the threatening looks from Derek and Brian, and promised Maggie he would return. At the door, Lauren walked him out. Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me, he smiled. For Christmas and New Year's Eve. Oliver would be sad if you didn't come. Just Oliver? Lauren bit her lip, trying to hide her smile. Maybe not just Oliver. Maybe. That's the most you're going to get for now, Mr. CEO. I'll take it. They stood looking at each other for a moment, the cold air between them, the Christmas lights blinking on the porch. Samuel wanted to say more, do more, but it was too soon, too fast. Good night, Lauren. Good night, Samuel. Drive safe. I'll text you when I get there. You better. He walked to the car, opened the door, looked back one last time. She was still at the door, arms crossed against the cold, the smile still on her face. Samuel waved. She waved back. And as he drove through the Christmas-lit streets back to Manhattan, Samuel realized that for the first time in a long time, he had something to look forward to. Not a meeting, not a contract, not an obligation. A loud family in New Jersey, a boy in a crooked hat, and a woman who laughed 7 times in a day when she was near him. His phone vibrated on the passenger seat. Lauren, Oliver is already asking how many days until New Year's Eve. Tell him it's 6. He said that's too long. I agree with him. The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Me too. Samuel smiled at his phone like a teenager. 6 days. He could barely wait. Samuel's apartment was on the top floor of a building in Manhattan. Panoramic view of the city, designer furniture, absolute silence. He opened the door and stopped. He had forgotten how empty this place was. Not empty of furniture. There was too much furniture, actually, but empty of life, of mess, of children's laughter and Christmas music and the smell of turkey roasting. Samuel left his keys on the entryway console and walked through the living room. His steps echoed on the marble floor. 24 hours ago, he was losing a lightsaber battle to 7-year-old twins. Now he was alone in an apartment that felt like a museum. "Mr. Samuel?" He turned around. Rosa, the housekeeper who had worked for him for 8 years, was standing at the kitchen door with a surprised expression. "I wasn't expecting you so early. I thought you'd stay at the hotel until New Year's." Change of plans. Rosa studied him for a moment. She had that motherly look that saw beyond words, even though she wasn't his mother. "You seem different." "Different how?" "I don't know. More relaxed?" She tilted her head. "Did something happen?" Samuel thought about the Christmas tree, the boy with the crooked beanie, the woman with the crackling radio who commanded the chaos like a conductor. A few things. Good things? The best. Rosa smiled, a smile of someone who knows more than they say. "That's wonderful, sir. Dinner is in the oven if you need it." She left, and Samuel was alone again. That's when he saw it. Catherine's coat hanging on the entryway hook. He had walked right past it without noticing, but now the coat seemed to scream. A physical reminder of a life that no longer existed. Samuel walked through the apartment with new eyes, her perfume in the bathroom. Photos of the two of them on the shelf, a forgotten hairbrush in the drawer, clothes in the closet, makeup on the vanity. 3 years of a relationship scattered through every room. 3 years of lies. "Rosa?" She appeared almost instantly. "Yes, sir? I need you to pack some things." He pointed to the coat. "Everything that belongs to Catherine. Clothes, perfumes, photos, everything." Rosa blinked. "Everything, sir? Everything. And what should I do with the boxes?" Samuel thought for a moment. "Donate them, or throw them away. Doesn't matter. I just want it all out of here." If Rosa had questions, she didn't ask them. She just nodded. "I'll need large boxes. Buy as many as you need." She headed toward the hallway but stopped at the door. "Mr. Samuel?" "Yes? This good thing that happened, does it have a name?" Samuel felt the corner of his mouth rise. "Lauren." Rosa smiled again. That motherly smile that knows everything. Beautiful name. The phone buzzed at 9 at night. "Did you get home okay?" Samuel looked at the screen, smiling. "I did. The apartment feels like a tomb after your house." "Tomb is a bit heavy. I prefer too quiet." "Too quiet is an understatement. I can hear my own thoughts here. It's disturbing." "Disturbing thoughts?" "The worst kind. Like, did Derek really fix the fence? LOL, he swears he did, but I have my doubts. How much do you want to bet he sets it on fire again on New Year's?" "Lauren, I don't bet against certainties." Samuel laughed alone in the empty apartment, and for the first time the silence didn't seem so bad. The following days were strange. In the morning, Samuel was the CEO of Wright & Associates. Meetings, contracts, million-dollar decisions. The man everyone expected him to be. At night, he was just Samuel. The guy who texted a woman in New Jersey and waited anxiously for her reply. December 27th. "Oliver wants to know if you like marshmallows in your hot chocolate." Who doesn't? People without souls, according to him. "I'm glad I passed the test." You're passing all his tests? It's concerning. Concerning why? Because he's never liked any of my... Never mind, forget it. Any of your... Forget it. How was your day? Samuel smiled at his phone. She had almost said boyfriends. He stored that information like a treasure. December 28th. The first video call happened by accident. Lauren called when Samuel was at the office, thinking it was a regular call. Her face appeared on the screen, hair tied back, no makeup, clearly exhausted from work. "Oh, sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Don't hang up," she stopped. "No, I like seeing you." The silence that followed was charged. Lauren looked away, but Samuel saw the smile. "Are you at the office? I was just leaving. Your desk is very organized. Is that a compliment or a criticism?" "An observation. People with overly organized desks scare me." "You should see my apartment. Is it worse?" "Rosa organizes everything by color." "Who's Rosa?" "My housekeeper. She's worked for me for 8 years. She's basically my second mother." Lauren was silent for a moment. "You have a housekeeper?" "I have a housekeeper." "Who organizes your things by color, and by size, sometimes by season?" Lauren started to laugh, a genuine laugh, the kind that made Samuel want to record it and listen to it again. "Our worlds are very different, Mr. CEO. I know, but I like your world better." She stopped laughing. Her eyes met his through the screen. "Samuel." "Mom, who is it?" Oliver's voice invaded the call. A second later, his face appeared, pushing Lauren aside. "Samuel, hi." "Hi, Oliver. Are you in New York? Is it cool? Are there a lot of buildings? Have you seen Spider-Man? Oliver, Spider-Man isn't. Haven't seen him yet, Samuel interrupted, but I'll keep an eye out. Oliver nodded, satisfied. If you see him, take a picture. Nobody at school believes he exists. Deal. Lauren gently pushed Oliver away. Go finish your homework. But I want to talk to Samuel. You can talk to him on New Year's. That's 3 days away, and it'll take even longer if you don't finish your homework. Oliver made a dramatic pout but obeyed. Before leaving the screen, he shouted, Bye, Samuel! Don't forget the Spider-Man picture. I won't forget. Lauren came back to the screen, shaking her head. Sorry, he's intense. He's amazing. He's exhausting. That too. She laughed again. And Samuel thought he could spend hours like this, just watching her laugh. December 29th. The video calls became routine. In the morning, quick messages. At night, calls that lasted hours. Samuel discovered that Lauren hated waking up early, loved iced coffee, and had a secret collection of cheesy romance novels that she read in hiding. If you tell anyone, I'll deny it. Your secret is safe with me. I'm serious, Samuel. My mom thinks I only read self-help books. Why does she think that? Because I told her that. The romance novels are too corny. I'm not going to judge. You're already judging. I'm finding it adorable. She rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. Samuel discovered other things too. That she worked too much and slept too little. That she worried about Oliver more than herself. That she was afraid to dream big because life had already disappointed her too many times. And the more he discovered, the more he wanted to know. December 30th. Rosa finished packing Catherine's things. 12 boxes. 3 years of a relationship fit into 12 boxes. All done, sir. The donation people will pick them up tomorrow. Thank you, Rosa. She looked at him for a long moment. You seem happier. This Lauren must be special. She is. Then don't mess it up. Samuel laughed. I'll try. December 30th, night. The video call lasted 3 hours. Lauren was lying in bed, the phone propped on the pillow. Samuel was on the couch, the apartment silent around him. I should sleep, she said, but didn't hang up. Me too. Tomorrow you're coming. Tomorrow I'm coming. Oliver has already asked 47 times what time you're arriving. You counted? He counted. He's keeping a spreadsheet. Samuel laughed. A spreadsheet? He learned on the school computer. Now he makes spreadsheets for everything. How many times I say no, how many times I let him have dessert, how many times you get mentioned in conversation. I have my own category? You have your own tab. Samuel's heart did something strange. Lauren? I'm so glad your son sat next to me that night. Silence. When she spoke, her voice was softer. Me too. They stayed silent for a moment. It wasn't uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that happens when two people don't need words. Good night, Samuel. Good night, Lauren. He ended the call. The apartment was silent, but Samuel was smiling. Tomorrow was New Year's Eve. Tomorrow he would see her again. And for the first time in a long while, Samuel Wright could hardly wait for the next day. Samuel parked the car in front of the Bennett's house with the trunk so full he could barely see through the rearview mirror. Maybe he had overdone it. Maybe. Oliver was the first to appear, running across the porch before Samuel even got out of the car. He's here! Mom, Grandma, everyone! Samuel's here. I heard, son, the entire neighborhood heard. Lauren appeared at the door, arms crossed, but with a smile she was clearly trying to hide. Samuel got out of the car and waved. I need help with some stuff. Some stuff? Lauren looked at the trunk. Samuel, what did you— He opened the trunk. Bags. Lots of bags, gift-wrapped boxes, an absurd amount of things. Lauren went silent. Oliver's eyes went wide. Is all of this presents? It's just a thank you for Christmas. Samuel. Lauren walked closer, her voice low. This is too much. It's just a thank you. There's a box over there that's bigger than Oliver. Technically, it's smaller. I measured. You measured? Derek appeared on the porch, beer in hand. What's going on out here? Samuel brought presents, Oliver informed, practically vibrating with excitement. Presents? Brian appeared beside his brother. What kind of presents? The entire trunk. The two brothers exchanged looks. He's trying to buy us, Derek said. Definitely, Brian agreed. Pause. Is it working? Totally. The two came down from the porch to help carry everything. The gift distribution happened in the living room with the whole family gathered. Samuel had done his research. He had paid attention to every conversation, every detail mentioned at Christmas, and he had used that information strategically. For Maggie, a set of professional cookware that she had mentioned wanting someday. Samuel, this is— Maggie held the box with teary eyes. It's too much. It's just cookware. It's a 12-piece set. Is it allergies again, Grandma? Oliver asked. Yes, it's allergies. For Derek, a complete barbecue kit with every accessory imaginable. Dude. Derek looked at the box like it was treasure. This is, dude. Now you can stop using that broken spatula, Brian teased. That spatula has history. That spatula has tetanus. For Brian and Karen, a gourmet basket with imported wines and cheeses. He brought cheese I can't pronounce, Karen said to Lauren. Where did you find this man? I have a lot of contacts. Really? Really. For the twins, 2 educational robotics kits that they immediately started assembling in the middle of the room, scattering pieces everywhere. For Emma, professional headphones from the brand she had mentioned wanting forever. How did you know? Emma asked, for the first time looking at Samuel without suspicion. You mentioned it at Christmas lunch? You remember what I said at lunch? I pay attention. Emma looked at Lauren. You can keep him, Auntie. Lauren choked. For baby Sophia, a giant plush unicorn that was bigger than her, Sophia hugged the stuffed animal and didn't let go for the rest of the day. For Oliver, a telescope, a real one, professional. Oliver was silent for so long that Lauren got worried. Son, are you okay? Mom. His voice was a reverent whisper. I'm going to be able to see the stars, for real. I know, son. The stars, Mom. He jumped on Samuel with so much force he nearly knocked them both down. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Samuel laughed, hugging the boy back. You're welcome, but you'll have to teach me how to use it. I'll teach you everything. And finally for Lauren, Samuel had saved this box for last, smaller than the others, wrapped with more care. This isn't necessary, she said, but took the box anyway. Open it. She opened it. Inside were 2 things. The first, a book. A rare first edition of Pride and Prejudice, her favorite novel, which she had mentioned once in passing during a video call. The second, a small velvet box. Lauren looked at Samuel, eyes wide. Calm down, it's not what you're thinking, he said quickly, hands raised. Open it. She opened the little box. A delicate gold necklace with a heart-shaped pendant, and inside the heart, engraved in small letters, a single word, family. Lauren went silent. For a long moment, she just looked at the necklace, then at the book, then at Samuel. Samuel, you said it was your favorite book when you were a teenager. He pointed to the necklace. And you also said that family was the most important thing to you, that it was all you ever wanted to give Oliver. I mentioned that one time. I pay attention. Lauren blinked. Once, twice. Her eyes were shining. You're unbelievable, she said, her voice breaking. Thank you? It's a compliment. She held the necklace against her chest. The best compliment. And then she did something that surprised everyone, including herself. She hugged him. Not a quick, polite hug. A real hug, tight, lingering. Thank you, she whispered. You're welcome. Will you put it on me? Samuel took the necklace with slightly trembling hands. Lauren turned around, lifting her hair. He fastened the clasp delicately, his fingers brushing against her skin. When she turned around, the necklace gleamed against her chest. Family. The whole family was watching with huge smiles. Oh, that's so beautiful, Maggie said, wiping her eyes. Allergies? Derek asked. Be quiet, Derek. The New Year's Eve party started at 6 in the evening and showed no signs of ending. The Bennett backyard had been transformed into a zone of organized chaos. Barbecue smoking on one side, tables with food on the other. Loud music playing from a speaker that Brian had proudly connected to his phone. Now we're going to play real music, he announced. If you play that 80s rock playlist again, I'm filing for divorce, Karen warned. You love my playlist. I tolerate your playlist. There's a difference. Samuel was in the middle of everything, completely out of his element, and absolutely happy. Do you know how to flip meat? Derek asked, pointing to the grill. I know the theory. Theory? I watched videos. Derek looked at Brian. He watched videos. At least he's honest. Honesty isn't going to save the steak. Even so, Derek handed the spatula to Samuel. Your first lesson, young grasshopper. The meat only gets flipped once. Once. If you keep flipping it all the time, it gets rubbery. Rubbery? Like an old shoe. That's a vivid image. Barbecue is poetry, Samuel. Poetry with fire. An hour later, Samuel had officially flipped 3 pieces of meat, under strict supervision, lost 2 games of checkers to Oliver, been forced to dance to country music by Maggie, and discovered he couldn't dance at all. You're stepping on my foot, Maggie informed him. Sorry. The left foot now. Sorry again. Lauren, come save your mother before I end up limping. Lauren appeared laughing, pulling Samuel out of the line of fire. You're really bad at this. I warned you I didn't know how to dance. I thought it was modesty. It wasn't. Definitely wasn't. They stood in the corner of the backyard, watching the chaos around them. The twins were running around with the robots they'd built, half working, half catching fire in a controlled way. Derek was shouting instructions about the meat. Karen and Brian were arguing about the playlist. Maggie was dancing with Oliver, who was surprisingly good. Is it always like this? Samuel asked. Always. It's amazing. Lauren looked at him, surprised. Really? Really? In my family. He stopped. Well, I don't have a family anymore, but when I did, everything was very formal, quiet, controlled. This is the opposite of controlled. I know. That's why it's amazing. Lauren didn't respond, but her hand found his and intertwined their fingers. Samuel felt his heart race. At 11 at night, Derek decided it was time for fireworks. I have everything under control, he announced, carrying a box that looked dangerously large. You said that last year, Brian reminded him, before you almost set the fence on fire. The fence was an accident, and the year before, that was also an accident. And the year, okay, I get it, but this year is different. Why? Because I watched tutorials. Samuel looked at Lauren. Should I be worried? Very. The twins were already running around Derek asking to help. Uncle Derek, let us light them. No way, you're 7 years old. So what? So what is that you set the robot on fire 2 hours ago? It was controlled fire. Fire isn't controlled when you're screaming. Ah! Maggie appeared with a bucket of water. Just as a precaution. Mom, you don't trust me? No. At 11:50, everyone gathered in the backyard. The temperature had dropped, and Lauren had given Samuel a blanket to share with her. They were sitting in beach chairs, Oliver between them, the telescope already set up and pointed at the sky. When the fireworks start, don't look through the telescope, Samuel warned. Why? Because you'll go blind. Oh. Oliver considered this. Good tip. The family was scattered around the backyard. Maggie with a glass of wine, Derek with a lighter and an expression of concentration, Brian with his phone ready to record any disaster, Karen with the kids, keeping the twins at a safe distance. 5 minutes left, someone shouted. The air was charged with anticipation. Samuel looked at Lauren. She was looking at the sky, her face illuminated by the Christmas lights that still decorated the porch. The gold necklace gleamed on her chest. Beautiful. The word appeared in his mind without asking permission. Beautiful? What is it? Lauren turned, catching him staring. Nothing. You were staring at me. I was appreciating the view. She rolled her eyes but smiled. You're so corny, Mr. CEO. I know. At 11:59, the countdown began. Everyone together. Mixed voices. Children shouting louder than the adults. 10. Derek lit the first firework. 9. The rocket went up, leaving a trail of light. 8. Samuel looked at Lauren. 7. She looked back. 6. The world around them seemed to disappear. 5. Only the two of them existed. 4. Samuel leaned closer. 3. His heart was beating so hard he was sure she could hear it. 2. Lauren didn't move away. 1. Happy New Year, and Samuel kissed her. Right there in the middle of the backyard, with fireworks exploding in the sky, with the whole family around, with every possible excuse not to do it. He kissed her, and she kissed him back. The kiss lasted 3 seconds, or 3 hours. Samuel couldn't tell. When they separated, the world came back into existence, and the world was applauding. I knew it, Oliver shouted, jumping from his chair. I knew it! I knew it! I knew it! Finally! Derek yelled. That's my boy. Brian raised his beer. I'm not crying, Maggie said, clearly crying. It's just the smoke from the fireworks. There's no smoke, Grandma, Oliver corrected. Allergies then? The twins made faces of disgust. Kabu! They kissed. Kissing is gross. You'll change your minds in about 10 years, Karen said, laughing. Emma was filming everything with her phone. This is going to the family group chat. Emma, no. Too late, Auntie. Samuel and Lauren looked at each other, laughing, embarrassed, happy. Happy New Year, he said. Happy New Year, she replied. And then he kissed her again because he could, because he wanted to, because it was finally allowed. The fireworks kept exploding in the sky. The family kept celebrating. Derek almost set the fence on fire again. It was just a small fire. The twins ran away screaming, "Ab!" one more time. It was chaos. It was noise. It was perfect. At 3 in the morning, the party finally came to an end. The children had fallen asleep in various corners of the house. Maggie had gone to bed after hugging Samuel for 5 straight minutes. Allergies, she insisted. Derek and Brian were in the backyard, putting out the last remnants of the small fire on the fence. Lauren and Samuel were sitting on the porch, sharing a blanket, fingers intertwined. You should stay, she said quietly. It's too late to drive to Manhattan. I booked a hotel nearby. Lauren was silent for a moment. Or, she hesitated, or we could go together. Samuel turned to her. Together, to the hotel. She didn't look at him. If you want. Samuel's heart stopped, restarted, stopped again. I want. Lauren finally looked at him. Her eyes shone with something he hadn't seen before. Then let's go. They snuck out like teenagers running away from home. The hotel was 10 minutes away by car. It was simple, but clean and comfortable. Samuel had booked the best room available, which in New Jersey meant a big bed and a view of the parking lot. Romantic view, Lauren said, looking through the window. 5 stars for the parking lot. She laughed. That laugh he loved. And then the laugh stopped, and they were looking at each other, and the air between them became charged with something new. Samuel? Lauren, I don't do this, normally, go to hotels with guys I met at shopping malls. I don't do this either. Normally, dress up as Santa Claus and fall in love with women who ask for my help out of nowhere. Lauren blinked. Fall in love? Samuel swallowed hard. Did I say that out loud? You did. Oh. Silence. Me too, she said, so quietly he almost didn't hear. I'm falling in love. With you. Samuel felt the world spin. And then they kissed again. This time without fireworks, without the family watching, without children screaming, ew. Just the two of them. The rest of the night belonged only to them. Samuel woke up with the sun coming through the window and a warm weight on his chest. Lauren was sleeping there, her head on his shoulder, her hair spread across the pillow, her expression calmer than he'd ever seen. The gold necklace gleamed softly against her skin. Family. He kept looking at her for a long moment. A week ago, he was alone, on the floor of a shopping mall, thinking life was over. Now he was here. With her. Lauren's phone buzzed on the nightstand. She stirred, mumbled something unintelligible, and went back to sleep. Samuel reached over and saw the message on the screen. Mom, is Samuel going to be my stepdad? Samuel smiled, maybe not yet, but for the first time he could imagine a future where that answer was yes. And that, more than anything, was the best start to the year he could ask for. 4 months, 120 days, thousands of messages, hundreds of video calls, and every Friday, the same ritual. Either Samuel drove to New Jersey, or Lauren and Oliver took the train to Manhattan. At first it seemed crazy. 2 hours apart. 2 completely different lives. 2 worlds that had nothing in common. But it worked. In New Jersey, Samuel had become part of the furniture at the Bennett house. Maggie didn't even ask anymore if he was coming for Sunday lunch. She simply set an extra plate. Derek had stopped asking threatening questions and started asking for investment advice. Brian now called him brother-in-law, even without any marriage. And Oliver had gotten his own room in Manhattan. Rosa had helped decorate. Glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling, planet posters on the walls. The telescope that Samuel gave for Christmas in a special corner, pointed at the window. It's the best room in the world, Oliver had declared on the first night. But don't tell Grandma I said that. The 2 worlds had blended in a way no one expected. But that seemed inevitable. May arrived, bringing flowers, sunshine, and Mother's Day. Maggie's house was fuller than ever. Derek and Brian with their families. The twins running around the yard. Emma on her phone. Baby Sophia chasing the neighbor's dog that had crashed the party. Karen trying to organize the table. Maggie commanding the kitchen, as always. And in the middle of everything, Lauren. She was wearing the necklace Samuel had given her on New Year's. The gold heart with the word family engraved on it. She wore it every day. Samuel had noticed. He never commented, but he noticed. You're acting strange, Lauren said to Oliver during lunch. Me? Strange? I'm not acting strange. I mean weird. Why would I be acting weird? Lauren looked at Samuel. Samuel looked at the ceiling. What are you 2 up to? Nothing, they both answered at the same time. Too fast, too synchronized. Lauren narrowed her eyes. Samuel, right, if you taught my son to lie to me, technically he just omitted information. Samuel. It was his idea. Hey, Oliver protested. You promised you wouldn't give me up. Maggie was watching the scene with a smile that knew too much. Leave the boys alone, dear. Let's eat dessert. After lunch, everyone gathered in the living room. It was a Mother's Day tradition. Each child gave a little speech for their mother. Derek always cried and denied it. Brian always tried to be funny and failed. The kids always made drawings. But this year, there was something different in the air. Oliver was sitting very quietly, very well behaved, which was absolutely suspicious. Okay, Lauren said. Spill it. What's going on? Samuel took a deep breath, looked at Oliver. The boy gave a discreet thumbs up. This was it. Samuel stood up. The entire room went silent. I'm not very good with words, he began. I mean, I'm good with contracts and reports, but this is different. Very different, Oliver whispered. Oliver, let him speak. Maggie scolded, but she was smiling. Samuel looked at Lauren, at the brown eyes he had seen for the first time that Christmas night, when she appeared with a crackling radio and her world falling apart. 5 months ago, I was at the worst moment of my life, sitting on the floor of a shopping mall, thinking everything was over. And then a boy with a crooked beanie sat down next to me and said his mom could help me. Oliver smiled proudly. He was right. You helped me, Lauren. Not because you tried to fix me, but because you saw me, really saw me. And even so, you stayed. The room was in absolute silence. Even baby Sophia had stopped making noise. You're the most amazing mother I've ever known. You work too much, sleep too little, worry about everyone, and still find time to laugh, to make Oliver laugh, to make me laugh. Lauren's eyes were shining. And I know our worlds are different. I know it's not easy, but I also know I've never been as happy as I am with you two. Samuel took a deep breath. Lauren Bennett, will you be my girlfriend? Officially? With a title and everything? The silence lasted half a second. We rehearsed 15 times, Mom, Oliver exploded, jumping off the couch. Say yes, please. I can't keep the secret anymore. The entire room burst into laughter. 15 times? Lauren looked from Samuel to Oliver. He's very perfectionist, Oliver explained. Version 12 was good, but he thought it needed more emotion. I didn't say that. Yes, you did. You said it needs more emotion, Oliver, I remember. Okay, maybe I did say that. Lauren was laughing and crying at the same time. You two are impossible. Is that a yes? Samuel asked. Is that a yes, Mom? Oliver echoed. Lauren looked at both of them. At the man she had found crying in a shopping mall, at the son who had sat down next to him without fear, at the family around them who had already adopted Samuel as one of their own. Yes. She wiped away a tear. The answer is yes. Oliver jumped between them, hugging both at the same time. Now we're a real family. Samuel held them both, his heart overflowing. We always were, champ. We always were. Maggie was sobbing in the corner. Mom, are you okay? Derek asked. It's allergies. Mom, it's May. There are no allergies in May. Yes, there are. These are happiness allergies. Derek looked at Brian. Brian shrugged. Happiness allergies. I'll make a note of that. The twins started screaming, EW kissing, even though no one had kissed yet. Emma was filming everything. Karen was crying quietly. Baby Sophia was still chasing the neighbor's dog. It was chaos. It was noise. It was perfect. That night, after everyone had gone and Oliver had finally fallen asleep, Samuel and Lauren sat on the porch of Maggie's house, their hands intertwined, the silence comfortable. Thank you, Lauren said softly. For what? For showing up. For staying. For choosing us. Samuel squeezed her hand. You chose me first. I just had the good sense to accept. Lauren rested her head on his shoulder. Oliver is already planning the wedding, you know. I know, he sent me a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet? With dates, locations, and a guest list. Apparently Spider-Man is confirmed. Lauren laughed. That laugh Samuel loved. And there, on that simple porch, in a noisy house in New Jersey, Samuel Wright understood a truth that had taken him 35 years to learn. Family isn't where you're born. It's who chooses to stay. And he had chosen to stay, forever. The end. And if you watched until the end, tell me in the comments, what was your favorite scene from this story? The moment Oliver sat next to Samuel at the mall? The kiss on New Year's Eve? Or the proposal on Mother's Day? On a scale of 0 to 10, what would you rate this story? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to receive more heartwarming stories like this one. See you next time.